guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while. I can't believe how long it's been since my last video, and since I've actually done a bit of a series that's been pertaining to YouTube tutorials and in regards to Photoshop and photography, and it's really been a long time since I've actually done a tutorial on this channel. And I'm going to be starting a new series, as you can probably tell by the title of the video, about beauty photography and beauty retouching specifically. So this particular series that I'll be starting at the moment is going to focus on beauty retouching and up close retouching. I think that over the last year or so, I think just after I came back from my last big trip around the world earlier last year, I have been making beauty photography a real focus and beauty retouching as well. And I've really had a lot of time in that year to experiment and to work with some clients, and I really think that maybe a series like this now will be beneficial for you guys. I know there's been a lot of questions thrown my way on Instagram and even YouTube in terms of maybe me getting a series together like this. But going back, nearly a year ago, I wasn't really comfortable in doing it yet. I felt like I hadn't experimented enough myself, and I feel like I hadn't acquired the skills myself to really share them with you guys just yet. I feel like now, after about a year or so of doing this, I am feeling a lot more comfortable with sharing this information now, and I think some of it hopefully will be beneficial for you guys now. In this series, I just want to go over what I'm going to be covering with these particular videos, and I just want to explain to you guys how I might lay out the series a bit more clearly. So to start off with, I'm just going to go over what is beauty retouching and how does it differ from normal retouching. So beauty photography and beauty retouching is basically classed under the umbrella of fashion photography and portraiture. And a lot of the time, beauty photography will generally be up very close. It can be either a macro shot or even a little bit further away as more of a portrait shot. A lot of the time it is done in studio, however, there is plenty of different examples out there of natural light beauty photography as well. And the retouching styles do differ slightly, I think, between natural light and studio. So at the moment, I'm going to be focusing on covering beauty photography that is done in a studio and beauty retouching for studio photographs. Now, beauty photography generally is really honing in and focusing on makeup and skin especially. Makeup is a really big part of it, whereas in a fashion photograph, obviously you will be looking at the fashion, you'll be looking at the model. In beauty photographs, you're looking at the makeup and you're looking at the model as well. So I think lighting is also a really important part when it comes to the retouching process, and I'm going to go through that in the series hopefully as well at some point. I am hoping to do another series that covers beauty photography specifically. I really do want to start this series off though by going into the retouching of it first. Now, the reason why beauty retouching differs from normal everyday fashion retouching is because the images are so up close. It is very difficult, I think, a lot of the time to know where to start with beauty retouching. And I wanted to start this series because I know when I first started this type of retouching quite a few years ago and started experimenting with it, there wasn't as many tutorials online for it specifically, and I did find that it was quite hard to find the information that I needed. So I really hope the series does help you guys out, and this is why I kind of wanted to contribute this information to YouTube. So going back to why it's different from fashion photography and why the retouching is usually a lot different is that you're focusing so much up close on skin, and skin is actually quite hard to edit at the best of times. But when you've got skin up close, you're pretty much seeing every little pore, every little freckle, and every little blemish. And I think retouching makeup as well is a big one, because makeup up close can look very different from makeup far away, and it can be very difficult to get everything spot on with makeup in the process of applying it in studio before the shoot even starts. So generally with any high-end job, with any high-end photography beauty job, there's definitely going to be a bit of retouching involved. Also, the time that it takes to retouch beauty images is generally a lot longer than your average image outdoors, if it's a location fashion shoot, or even if it's an indoor studio fashion shoot. It's very different. I think they're two very different types of fashion shoots, and beauty shoots really do differ from them. So some of the techniques that I'll be going over in this series will be the dodge and burn technique. Also, as I said before, retouching for makeup. I'll be also going through some mistakes to avoid, because I think this is a really big one for me. I've made so many mistakes throughout the process of experimenting with beauty photography and beauty retouching, and I do think I want to highlight those mistakes that happen or I see happen quite often, and maybe you guys can relate to some of those too, so I definitely want to cover that. Another couple of things I'll be going over is skin toning and color grading, and this is also a very difficult thing to do, and it does take a lot of time and practice to do it, but I really want to help you guys out with some tips that have really eased my worries as far as those things that are concerned when retouching. And I also want to put it out there that I am open to taking requests for this particular series. I do want to know what you guys want to see specifically on my channel and within this series. I know there's been a lot of different questions thrown at me, especially on Instagram at the moment, and it's hard to kind of compile some of them into a video. So definitely feel free to keep throwing requests out there at me, and I'll see what I can do with them in terms of getting videos together or getting like a tutorial together for them. This series will be mostly Photoshop based, and the reason for that is I don't really use Lightroom to do any retouching on my images. Usually it's just the initial raw adjustments. Everything else is done in Photoshop as far as skin retouching and color grading. So I will be covering purely Photoshop in this series. Maybe eventually I'd like to do a few more videos on Capture One, although I'm still learning with that program at the moment, so I don't feel like I'm quite ready to throw some tutorials out there just yet. As I said, guys, I really hope this series will be interesting for you guys. I do want to make sure that I'm covering the topics that you want to see or you want to learn more about. So definitely feel free to pop in the comments section below any tutorial requests for this particular series. So guys, look out for my next video, which will be up very soon, and that will be part 1 of this series. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you did, and please give it a like if you're excited to see this series. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!